Is late night food craving bad? Why am I having late night food cravings? Is it bad to be snacking before bed? If these are questions you've been asking yourself lately, I want you to stick around. This is a common topic that I get asked in my nutrition practice, and today we're going to be talking about it and knocking out some of the myths and actually some of the truths around this whole topic. All right. So, welcome. If you're new here, my name is Jenn J. I am a holistic nutritionist for the whole family, and I coach overwhelmed and exhausted mamas how to recharge their batteries and feel great again in their bodies. So I really help them address things like energy issues, sleep issues, weight issues, PMS issues, hormonal imbalances, um, as well as approaching the entire family in their nutrition and their health, right? So we do all of this through a non-dieting approach because I really believe that if it's not sustainable, you're not going to stick to it. And I really want to see you get results long term. So stick around here. We're going to be sharing what these late night food cravings really mean and whether or not it's actually good or bad to be, eating at night before bed, right? So first and foremost, this was actually something that I used to struggle with for a really long time. There was a time in my journey where, before I became a nutritionist, where I was constantly sort of on this dieting roller coaster, on and off, trying different ways of eating. I had been gaining weight. I didn't know at the time that I was dealing with a hormonal imbalance that was perpetuating the weight gain and perpetuating all these issues. And when I was approaching my doctors about the concerns, what they were telling me was that, well, if you lose weight, you'll be healthier. And so my focus was on like, how can I lose weight? How can I lose weight so I can be healthier? And that really brought me into this sort of diet approach. So I was restricting, what I was eating. I was not eating a lot of food. I was over exercising. I actually remember one night putting on Netflix on like a repeat. I binge watched for probably about 3 hours and I was on the elliptical for that entire time. And I remember thinking, oh, this is so great. I'm going to lose so much weight. And then the next day I was totally exhausted, right? Because I stayed up late. I think it was like 11 p.m. to 2 in the morning or something crazy, right? And it was obviously not sustainable, right? And I got really unhappy too when I was doing all these, all the right things and not seeing the results that I was looking for. And so during that time, I did find that, throughout the day, I was doing really, really well. I'd be following this, you know, restricted way of eating or what to me felt like a good way to lose weight. And I wasn't eating enough of the right foods. And unfortunately, by the end of the night, I was so hungry that I was actually I had intense food cravings and I was eating a lot of food. And so, this was something that I did struggle with, and it took me a long time to shift away from that diet mindset. And I bring this to the forefront because I know how much so many of us have been exposed to the diet mindset of that mindset of, if we lose weight, we're healthier. And while there's some truth to that, there definitely is, right? Like we know that excess body fat contributes to more health issues, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the weight that we're dealing with is actually the problem, okay? But for many of us, it's sort of that starting position. So if you're here for that, that's okay. I'm not going to shame you in any way, shape, or form, but I want you to know that sometimes what we're missing is the idea that the weight gain is actually your body's alarm system saying, hey, something's going on here. We need to address it. So while addressing the weight is a good place to start or being proactive, it's not necessarily the end all solution. And this is why I see in my practice so many women struggling to actually lose weight on a long-term basis because they're not using the weight gain as a signal to something else going on. And this is why we can see that for many diets, you might lose weight in the short term, but you're not able to maintain that weight in the long term. And that comes back to the fact that you haven't addressed the underlying issue that was there to begin with, right? And so for many women, those underlying issues are hormonal imbalances of some kind, either a depletion of nutrients, so they've got adrenal issues, maybe their thyroid is not working efficiently, maybe they've got some estrogen dominance that promotes weight gain or insulin resistance. Even high cortisol can encourage, our stress hormone can encourage fat production in the body, and this can perpetuate an entire cycle of many other issues, including energy, and menstrual disorders and mood swings and PMS and a huge list of things that I see in my practice, right? So today we're going to be talking about how sort of busting some of those myths about late night food cravings, right? So, is it bad to be eating before bed? What does it mean if you're hungry before bed, or you're craving foods in the evening, or you're craving certain kinds of foods in the evening, right? So we're going to dive into some of that today. Um, and so, and I talk about this around the concept of dieting because it is oftentimes so strongly linked. But not always. It is also sometimes linked to the fact that we're just not eating a nutrient dense diet on a regular basis, or style of eating. And so we're going to talk about some of that as well in these topics. All right. So first and foremost, let's talk about let's sort of go over this, like, is late night eating bad? All right, like, so what I like to teach my clients is nothing is inherently good or bad. It's just all in how you perceive it. And so for some people, maybe they work shift work, or they are nursing or pregnant mothers, or they're up frequently with their children. Sometimes they need that extra fuel before bed in order to actually facilitate, or in the evening, in order to actually facilitate their duties, or their responsibilities that either take place during the night or in the evening. So right. And so I don't consider late night eating a bad habit. What I consider it to be is a warning sign that something else is happening in your body, especially if you're having food cravings. Something else is happening in your body that you haven't addressed. And so what I like to to tell people is, it's nothing is inherently good or bad. Instead, we want to really look at, what is our body trying to tell us right now that might be helping us better understand why we're feeling this way. So is late night food, late night eating bad? No. However, our body does need a long, significant period of rest in order to reset. And that rest doesn't happen when we are busy digesting food. And so, if you can avoid it by implementing some of the habits that I'm going to talk about soon, if you can avoid it, then you can actually help of set your body up for success with that rest period, and actually be able to reset your body properly during the night while you sleep. All right. And now the next thing that we want to sort of consider is, if we are craving foods during the evening, what does that really, what does that mean? What is our body trying to tell us? Now, this, of course, isn't to diagnose or to really give you, a medical opinion, but instead, this is sort of to give you an understanding of how your body actually works, so that you can read these signals better and be more in tune. It'll give you more insight into what's happening, so you can make more educated decisions. All right. Now, what I'm going to first lead with is that if you are hungry, I want you to eat. But if you are craving certain kinds of foods, that could actually be an indicator that you're missing quality nutrients earlier in the day, or in your diet in general. Okay. So first and foremost, if you are feeling hungry or snackish, or craving something, this could sometimes be an indicator that your body is actually dehydrated. All right. So oftentimes, many of us um, misunderstand the thirst cues that our body gives, and actually mistake it for hunger. And so what I recommend in the evening, if you've had a full day of eating and you're still, you're feeling snackish, or you're wanting to eat, I encourage you to have a glass of warm water, some lemon water, or even a chamomile tea, and wait 20 minutes and see how you feel. Sometimes that is enough to just help you feel more satisfied, because you're replenishing the hydration that your body was missing. Okay. So that's the first sort of reason or cue that your body could be giving you that you're misinterpreting. Okay. The second one, and this one comes back to that dieting, and or the idea that we just don't eat a whole, nourishing diet on a whole. Okay. So the second one is that you could be missing really key macro and micronutrients in the day. So if you are restricting what you're eating, if you're following a certain style of eating, so maybe it could be keto or plant-based or vegan or paleo, like there's all those kinds of ways of eating. But if you are in some way limiting what you're putting into your body and you're not being intentional about ensuring that everything you've excluded, that those nutrients are getting into your body somehow, then by the end of the day, your body can actually feel nutritionally starved. And I see this oftentimes with women who are cutting back calories as well, where you're actually, when we go online, we're like, how do we lose weight? And, first 10 things that pop up is like, eat a 1,200 calorie diet. Or no, don't do that. Please don't do that. Yes, weight loss is about calorie intake and outtake, but it's about so much more than that. And so what I tend to see is that women who cut back on their calories are actually nutritionally starving their body. And so by the end of the night, their body is saying like, whoa, like I haven't had the right amount of nutrients today. I haven't had enough of a variety of nutrients. And then your body starts seeking these out. And this is why those cravings sometimes feel really, really strong and really, really powerful. Like you just can't turn away from them. Okay. And so I see this one in my practice all of the time. This one's a really, really common one. So I do encourage you, if that's what you're feeling and that's what you're experiencing, then I encourage you to try adding a couple snacks in your day. Remember, wholesome snacks. We don't want to be going for something that isn't nutritionally dense either. We want something that is really wholesome. So, a clean protein, healthy fats, some fiber and carbohydrates. And when we combine those together in our meals and our snacks, then our body will be able to access the nutrients it needs and in the right quantity. All right. That's number two. Number three, sometimes what I see is that sometimes it's just a habit, right? Like we are either bored or we are emotionally soothing ourselves. And so this could be a habit that you've gotten yourself into, but you're not necessarily hungry. And so I really want you to check in with your body when you're feeling these cravings come on in the evening, thinking about, am I actually hungry? Did I eat enough food today? Did I eat enough of the variety, enough colors, enough of my macronutrients, my proteins, my carbohydrates, my healthy fats? Did I eat enough of these? And if I didn't, where did I not eat enough of that I can eat right now as a small snack to help satisfy me? But if I did do all of that, what am I missing right now? Am I bored? Am I feeling unfulfilled? Do I need to do something? Do I need to go for a walk? Do I need to check in with my feelings? Do I need to self-regulate, right? These are all questions we can be asking ourselves to help us identify whether this is a habit out of, just repetition, or whether it's a true need of hunger and food and nutrition, okay? Then the last thing that I often see in my practice is that so many of us are so guilty of this, is that we actually miss the sleep cues that our body gives us. And we stay up past those cues. Now, what happens when we stay up past the hormonal cues of our body that tell us it's time to go to sleep is our body actually starts revving hormones back up instead of to put us to sleep, to wake us up. And in order to do that, our hormones and our system actually needs fuel. Now, fuel comes from food. And so oftentimes what you'll see yourself craving would be things like sweet carbohydrates and the little junky foods that we get into, right? Like that junk food category. And this is because those have very quick sources of sugars that can help wake our body up in order to stay awake and alert. So I see this often in moms who are putting children down to bed, and by the time they, get 10 minutes to sit on the couch to themselves, they're really tired, but they want time to themselves. And so they start eating in order to stay awake. And, we do this subconsciously. Most of us are not aware that we are eating to stay awake, or that we're having cravings in order to stay awake. But this does happen because we're missing those sleep cues. And I also see it in women who are working shift work because they're working in the evening. And so they need that fuel. They're trying to counteract the hormonal processes that are telling their body to shut down. And so we tend to see that you're more likely to eat in that late night time frame in order to reactivate your body to stay awake. So if this could be a circumstance that you're dealing with, then thinking about what do your sleep cues feel like, right? Identifying what it feels like for you to be tired, and not just the everyday I'm tired, normal tired, is no, like, what is your body telling you in the evening that it's starting to wind down, right? Maybe your vision gets a little bit blurry or less clear during certain hours of the evening. Okay, the food cravings would definitely be one of them that's telling you, like, oof, you've missed that key and that cue from your body, right? So shifting from the idea of, oh, when my kids go to bed, I'm going to sit down on the couch and I'm going to watch 2 episodes of my favorite show, have a little snack, a little treat because I've earned it, and then I'm going to go to bed. And then what you're finding is that by the time you go to bed, you are wired and your brain won't shut off, and you're waking up exhausted. And what you're actually doing here is perpetuating this cycle. Like, you are reinforcing this cycle hormonally and physically, emotionally, psychologically, for this to continue. And so I want you to shift from thinking about treating yourself to food and screen time and TV time and scroll time to, what can I do for myself right now that will actually help me wind down, that will actually help me turn off my brain, so when I go to sleep, I'm falling asleep quickly, so that I'm feeling rested and I'm sleeping well. And so when I wake up in the morning, I feel good, right? So starting to shift that mindset. And that doesn't mean that you can't still have your screen time and you can't still have your treats and you can't still do, scrolling and Netflix binges and all of this, but understanding on a day-to-day basis how your circadian rhythm really works in order to help facilitate and support that cycle, all right? And that will actually help you move away from these late night cravings and these late night food cravings. And in fact, you might even find that by following all of these tips and suggestions, like staying well hydrated throughout the day, so drinking 2 to 3 liters of water every day, eating enough calories and enough variety so you're getting the nutrients, the quality macro and micronutrients your body needs to be fueled, recognizing your habits and your your fallback comfort habits that you go into, and then identifying your sleep patterns can actually help you go to bed at a good time, wake up feeling rested, have sustained energy through the whole day, lose weight, and as a result, you won't have those late night food cravings. All right. So, what you may even find is that by 6 o'clock, after you've had supper, you won't eat again and you won't be hungry and you won't have a desire to eat until the next morning when you wake up. And that is exactly sort of the cycle that we want to be in for our body, so that it has that downtime to rest and reset, because it's during that rest and reset time that everything in our body gets to restart. It gets a blank slate. It starts at zero and we get to restart the next day. And so if you really want to, have a better evening tomorrow night, it really starts with what you're doing today for tonight's sleep. All right. So I hope this was helpful. So just a quick recap for you. Late night eating and snacking is not inherently bad. It's typically a warning sign that you're missing something earlier in the day that your body requires. And those 4 things could be 1, hydration; 2, enough calories and variety of food to support your nutritional needs, so nourishing your body on a day-to-day basis; 3, fulfillment, either emotionally, socially, psychologically, or physically; and 4 is your body might be telling you you need more sleep or you need to prioritize sleep. So I hope this was helpful for you. And I'd love to know, you can let me know in the comments which of these 4 really scream out at you, and where you're really going to start with this whole process of starting to cut back on your late nights eating and food snacking, and understanding what your warning signs are telling you in your body. And as always, I want you to keep living healthy, one bite at a time. Subscribe to my channel here for more healthy living tips related to moms, energy, weight loss, hormones, kids nutrition, and all that is encompassing in our day-to-day lifestyle. Have yourselves a wonderful day, and thank you all so much for watching. Bye.